I believe we have someone presenting from the Chartered Market Technician Association, CMT.
It's Tyler. Hello,
Oh,
Tyler.
Tyler. Tyler, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. How's the day going?
Good.
Great
How have
day.
you been?
Been great, hopefully we'll make it through the next 15 minutes without a visit from my 5-year-old. But I've really been enjoying this conference. You guys have put on just a tremendous event. Really, really well done.
Thank you for joining us. And, I think a lot of people would be interested in the designation that your organization provides, and price is everything. And I always believe that there should be some type of accreditation for people that call themselves technicians. So
that was the idea years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see if I can share my screen with you all.
It's a green box.
Seeing some
be on your drop-down menu. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, we're okay?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, my name is Tyler Wood, and I'm the Managing Director of Global Business Development my good buddy, Joe Perry, called a few weeks ago and mentioned what you all were putting together, and we're thrilled to take part in this. Really can't thank you guys enough for inviting us. And what you have hosted yesterday and today is exactly what the CMT Association stands for. That's our mission, and it has been a little different these days in terms of execution. I don't know about you all, but I have never worn so much flannel consistently over such a long period of time. It's well, maybe not since Nirvana and Pearl Jam were topping the charts, but this situation is pretty unprecedented. But thanks to Forex Analytics and all of the presenters, there's still a tremendous opportunity for people to come together and learn and have some thoughts and ideas shared that could help all of us navigate these volatile markets. So there's no disclaimers on this presentation. I'm not here to teach anybody how to trade or make any market calls, but instead I represent a very large, a very old organization that has been committed to advancing the discipline of technical analysis. We've been doing that since the late 1960s. So just to kind of recognize where we are in the state of play right now. This bloodbath has not been just for the debt and equity markets. We've seen, U.S. and Japan, both longs and shorts, stopped out by this volatility. And it's just been an incredibly unprecedented event for people who traded through, Swissy unpegging to the euro dollar. I think this volatility may have even outpaced that. And this range right here is incredibly narrow historically, and we're looking for a very big move out of here. Below 106.92, it's probably headed lower, and that double bottom pattern certainly increases that likelihood. But the CMT Association is not it's not in a position to tell you where to place your trade, but rather to help you develop a system of tools to understand occurrences like this. And while this volatility might be somewhat unprecedented, we've certainly seen a lot of scenarios like this in the past, and we will see it again. I just thought this chart, which was actually shared to me from one of our board of directors over in the UK, just the correlations between currencies and the S&P are just tremendous right now. So for everybody, the thousands of people who've registered for this event, and for everybody around the world trying to make sense of a market like this, we obviously need to, band together, talk to folks with expertise, with history of trading through multiple market cycles, and find out what has worked for them, what their approach is, their philosophy, and their discipline. And that's really all that the CMT Association, stands for, and that's why we exist. So I mentioned it's a very old organization. We got started in New York City in the late 1960s. It actually began with a number of sell-side equity research analysts, names that you might know, like Ralph Acampora, Bob Farrell, and Art Merrill from Merrill Lynch, just helping the organization get started and recognizing that technical analysis a discipline much like fundamentals really needed its own designation, its own place for meeting and sharing collegial ideas and exchange of what was working and what wasn't working. And
Those guys updated their charts by hand, huh, Tyler?
That's exactly right. I don't have enough gray in my beard to remember those days, but
Yeah.
you mentioned it right, Dale. It wasn't just a New York phenomenon. Technical analysis is the oldest game in town. Folks in Japan and the rice markets getting things started hundreds of years before that. But that's just a shot from the Fidelity chart room. And the largest and greatest mutual fund portfolio managers also use technical analysis. You can see the
figure.
technicians with rulers
Cool.
and pencils. In fact, we have in our library about a decade worth of hand-drawn charts from the Prudential folks. These were Ralph Acapora and his team's charts. And when Dow broke 10,000, it actually went through the roof, as in their pencil lines had to break through the ceiling, and they folded the chart over. So the discipline has been around for a very long time, but obviously changed dramatically with computing power and really just the advent of technology in the marketplace. So you fast forward to today, our organization is global. As I mentioned, the work of John Murphy and many others helped expand the organization beyond the equities and fixed income world, recognizing that technicians exist in currencies and commodities, managed futures, really any asset class can be traded using these tools. And so we've got over 35,000 folks who participate in educational content, engage in our programming and our networking over 137 countries. And really what drives our organization is this understanding that there's no silver bullet, but we know that investors need to navigate the gap between intrinsic value, or sort of your fundamental discipline, and what's happening with market price. And so the entire field of technical analysis is about addressing all of those market sentiment issues, supply and demand relationships for individual securities. And what we try to provide is a disciplined, systematic approach to understanding that market behavior and hopefully help investors change some outcomes, both in terms of their performance on a risk-adjusted basis, but also career opportunities. And as a nonprofit credentialing organization, that's the biggest driver of what we do. So I'm going to take just a couple minutes and talk about the CMT program. I know we've got thousands of folks who are committed to their own professional development and learning, who are engaged in this conference. Just a tremendous lineup of speakers. And I know I've already learned a lot tuning in yesterday to folks like Peter Bookvar and Mark Yusko, our very own Mark Newton, CMT. And so really, really excited to be a part of this. But the CMT program is a globally recognized credential. It takes place over 3 exams. We offer those every year in June and December. And really what it does is it attests to a candidate's mastery of this body of knowledge. It's not one way to trade. We're not just teaching you the Wyckoff method or the work of Ralph Elliott or a particular trading style. But knowing that technical analysis works over multiple time frames, it's asset class agnostic, what we're really trying to provide candidates is a set of tools and an understanding of the discipline so that they can apply it to the way in which they trade, whether that's on a 5-minute chart or holding positions over 5 months or multiple years, as many of the asset allocators do. So the next exam is going to be in December, and certainly encourage those of you who are committed to your own professional development to think about carving out that time. I know Blake mentioned this morning it's not easy when you've got kids at home and a full-time job and a trading career, but I hopefully will provide a few things that let you know that this isn't impossible. Hey Blake, how you doing? And hopefully pretty accessible to folks on the line. Certainly everybody with that level of expertise is going to recognize a lot of the content that's in our curriculum. So what does the CMT program focus on? We develop the tools and the curriculum from a practice analysis. So we talk to hiring managers around the world, to practitioners of technical analysis and our own members, and we build the curriculum and the learning objectives off of what they say is needed in the industry, and what do they want on their next hire? What do they want that person to know in terms of knowledge, skills, and abilities? So we focus first and foremost around risk management, things like position sizing, understanding market risk, and a lot of tools around protecting capital. We do address a lot of the quantitative systems and the applications of technical tools. You do not need to learn how to code in a particular programming language, but rather understand the logic of how you would design a system, or if you were to test for signal strength, doing a lot of Monte Carlo simulations, forward and back testing, to understand if something will have relevance over time and over multiple market regimes. We center all of this around a portfolio management approach. So you're thinking about multiple assets, thinking about an investment philosophy and an approach that's going to last over the long term. And then we address a lot of applied behavioral finance. So in 2002, when Daniel Kahneman won the Nobel Prize in economics, I think the whole world was surprised that a psychologist would win a Nobel Prize in economics. But what he and Amos Tversky discovered were all these evolved traits, these heuristics that guide all of us. And they've been with us since we were cavemen. We realized that, traveling alone meant you might get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. So we all huddle into groups. And those same heuristics play out in the stock market. So a lot of what we address in the CMT program is understanding how those psychologists might call herding behavior. We call that price momentum. They talk about the anchoring bias. We talk about levels of support and resistance. So there are statistical tools to help explain and observe and react to the behaviors of market participants. And that's really what the CMT program has been able to deliver. And thanks to all of those behavioral finance experts in academia, we've had a lot more success recently with our academic partner program, and a lot more education at the college and university level around technical analysis, as it's really opened investors' minds beyond just the efficient markets hypothesis. So why does anybody pursue a CMT designation? I think that's the main and most important question to answer. And it's really about an outcome-driven program. We're here to improve investment performance and then also career opportunities. So we did some survey work with recent CMT candidates that just shows what they experienced after getting the charter and the designation. Obviously, a lot of folks were promoted. They improved their salary, earnings. They may have even taken on a new job. But you'll see that note there, around 55% got more responsibility. And what that really translates into is assets under management. So the CMT credential as a globally recognized designation helps firms and clients develop some trust with their manager to know that that person has really strong risk management tools. They have a disciplined and repeatable process for investing. So for everybody who's watching this Trader Summit, thinking about expanding your own fund or bringing in client money, I highly encourage you to pursue the CMT program just as a way to get immediate recognition of your skills and that mastery of a really comprehensive body of knowledge. So what does it take to get past the CMT program? This is for you, Blake. We've got a pretty wide range in terms of recommended study hours, and obviously for those who are experienced market professionals who've been doing this for a long time, you're going to be at the very low end of those recommended study hours. But level one, it's a 630-page textbook. We've got roughly 40 to 100 hours, depending on your level of experience, in order to prepare to be successful on the exam. And that third line down, you've got the 5-year trailing average on the passing rates. The program is academically rigorous, and it's designed to be that way. This is not a gimme, but we do encourage all candidates to take it seriously, to put in the hours to study. And we've got about a 66% pass rate on average for the level 1 exam. So it's not impossible. You can do it, and if you take it seriously, you'll have a real chance at success. So we published that curriculum with our partners at John Wiley & Sons, Wiley being a large global publisher. They also produce the CFA curriculum, the FRM curriculum, the Kaya, you name it, in this world of alphabet soup. And they've been a great partner in terms of turning out a really flexible and living document. We do release new editions almost every year of the curriculum to keep pace with all of the changes in the industry. 5 years ago, nobody was really talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum and Ripple, and we've certainly seen the industry change tremendously since we've started in the late 1960s. So that link, efficientlearning.com, you'll find all of the CMT curriculum materials and the official guides. For those of you who don't already have the curriculum, they've also issued a 30% discount on all of the textbooks. For anybody who is interested, you can just type in CMT TW30 and that'll get you a better price on the textbooks. We have been growing tremendously, and certainly we find that education and credentialing tends to be countercyclical. Market events like this bring a ton of industry pros back to the drawing board to think about their investment process and what they're using in terms of tools to manage risk. So cyclically adjusted over the last few years, we have been growing by leaps and bounds, obviously across Asia. You're looking at 75% growth rate. So the North American region dominates our global membership, but we are growing faster outside the U.S. Than inside the U.S. And it really is a global organization now. And we host events all over the world, as I mentioned earlier, in Singapore and Hong Kong and Mumbai and everywhere in between. So we encourage you to come check it out. Join us for a live event or for these online events and get to know some folks with the charter. Ask them some questions.
Speaking of which, Tyler, you know that we have Joe with us. I mean, part of the team.
Hey,
He's
Tyler.
a CMD.
Hey, Joe. How's it going, buddy?
Good. Hey, I just want to say to everybody out there that although you do get the CMT designation, which is helpful, what you learn along the way as you're preparing to take the exams for the CMT designation will really help you with trading, especially the Forex markets, which relies a lot on technicals during slow times. But, you know, it really, really helps you when you're studying to learn about all the different places price may, all the inflection points or a place that price may revert or just all these tools that you'll have at your disposal while you're going along the way. And one thing that I remember that is really different between technical and fundamental analysis when you're looking at the two is something that Ralph Acampora had said when he was going to, I don't know who he was going in front of, some board to try and get the CMT designation. And he said, you cannot restate price, you can restate earnings. And that was the one thing he said that kind of pushed the board over or pushed the people over that he was going up in front of and was able to get this designation.
That's a perfect segue, Joe. And in fact, the event you were talking about was December 17th, 2004. So for those in the U.S., you might be familiar with FINRA. That's our highest regulator in the land. And after Sarbanes-Oxley came out, they introduced the Series 86 and 87 exams for research analysts. Basically, their curriculum for those regulatory exams was equivalent to the CFA Level 1 curriculum. And Ralph and the board of directors from what was then the Market Technicians Association came out and argued in front of the SEC attorneys that you need to test us on our body of knowledge. And they said, well, technical analysis, you know, what isn't that voodoo? I mean, Ralph, show me one thing that's true on this chart. And as you said, Joe, Ralph made the point that price is a fact. You don't restate price. And for those in the fundamental world, you might be increasingly frustrated at how many times earnings are restated. And when that data does come through, it can often be an estimate. And it's built off of very elaborate models with a lot of assumptions built in. Whereas price is the greatest truth of Mr. Market. So
price is a vote with your wallet.
That's a great saying, Dave.
Also, how many accounting gimmicks we have around, which, as you said, you know, price is what it is, right? Tyler, we have a question. It's going to be good if you can put it on the chat. Sure. Andy here is asking, what was the CMT discount code? So he didn't have time to write it down.
Sure, CMT TW30, and I'll post that in the chat as soon as we wrap up here.
Perfect. As you know, I've also given the exams for level 1 and I passed them now. I need to find a little bit of time to go through the curriculum for level 2 because, as you said, it's not only technical analysis, some theory as well. So you do need to do some studying, but it's totally worth it. I can say that much.
Did you erase the answers you had written between your fingers?
Yeah, time to go back to elementary school, right, Dale?
Exactly. They take exam security pretty seriously over at Prometric. So my guess is
Oh, they
Steve
do.
own muster.
They do. They do.
But as Joe was pointing out, the advocacy work that the organization does on an ongoing basis is really important for all of our charter holders. I spend a lot of my time talking to large mutual funds, broker dealers, investment firms about the value of hiring a CMT charter holder for their next open positions, and we do that advocacy work both with industry firms as well as government regulations. So we have ongoing projects right now with IROC in Canada, with SEBI in India, and regulators across the globe. And that's a really important part, I think, for our nonprofit to make sure that the longevity of professional technical analysis stays very, very strong.
We have to wrap up here, Tyler.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
This is our last slide. We really appreciate everything that Forex Analytics, all of you have done to put this on. We exist for education, ethics awareness, and networking. And so in that spirit, invite anybody who's interested in pulling down a free white paper. We publish a lot of content, both online and in-person events. But join us, cmtassociation.org/Chart Summit 2020. This just came out from our Journal of Technical Analysis. It's an academic, double-blind, peer-reviewed journal. Take a look at the virtual crowd and the depth of investor sentiment. But thanks again, guys, for having me, and looking forward to the rest of the day's presentations.
Thank you, Tyler. Great presentation of CMT.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank
joining
you.
us, Tyler. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tyler. Nice having you.